Have you ever had a new player bring a really fast deck to a commander table? Or maybe a regular recently upgraded their deck with fast mana tutors or combos or powerful finishers, and they seem to be winning way more than other players. It feels like there's nothing you can do other than speed up and upgrade your deck to keep up. But if your deck becomes stronger and faster, then what's that player gonna do? Aren't they gonna just make theirs even quicker? And what about other players who are left in the dust? This is the commander arms race, a problem that many playgroups run into and is the source of much discussion. I have some potential solutions to this problem for you and your playgroups. Before I get into that though, if you'd like videos like this, consider subscribing. It really helps. Okay, I want to specify here that I'm talking about casual commander, the situation where someone just upgraded a deck, not CDH. Somebody coming into your playgroup or shop with a copy and pasted list from the CDH decklist database with the sole purpose of winning is not what I'm talking about. The mythical pub stomper, which I'm not quite sure is even real, is not the arms race. Maybe I'll have to make another video about pub stompers another time. Let me know if you would like to see that in the comments below. I'm also not talking about power creep, although that is a general problem with Magic as a whole and has affected Commander. That's a separate video and a different situation. But let's say a friend opens a Jeweled Lotus and now they have an already powerful Core Vault deck which is able to power out the commander even faster. Or maybe they cracked a doubling season from the most recent reprint and cranked up the power of their Planeswalker deck. As this happens over time, some decks may creep up in power, and if you haven't gotten lucky with packs or dropped a ton of cash on some upgrades, the games might feel more difficult over time. Or if you're the person who would rather spend $50 on a new deck instead of just one card, then these solutions might be for you. When facing an obstacle, there are many ways to get past it. You can go over it, around it, through it, or under it. I'll go over all of these situations. Starting with going around the problem. I'm talking about non-gameplay solutions. You can just talk to that player. If one player who is new to a playgroup might not be meshing perfectly well with it, you can just talk to them. Say, hey, we usually play at this power level. Your deck might be a little bit past that. Would you mind making some changes? This is a perfectly reasonable thing to do, but it doesn't always work. If it's a rando that just pops into the shop occasionally and not someone you regularly play with, it might not make a difference since you're playing with different players each time. Or maybe that player really wants to use the new card they got from a pack, which is also pretty reasonable. So what can you as an individual do to mitigate the arms race? Let's talk going through the obstacle. This is the supposed obvious solution, I guess, where you just make a faster, stronger deck. Your opponent buys a Mana Crypt, you buy a Mana Crypt and a Mana Vault. They add a 4-card combo to your deck, you add a 3-card combo to your deck, and a tutor. And then the arms race kind of begins. This is a solution. Your playgroup can just, over time, power up their decks and start playing at a higher power level, and some people may like that, which is a super reasonable thing to do. If your playgroup wants to add more combos and start using them, go for it. Powering up your commander decks can open up new and different strategies that might not mesh too well with lower power decks, and that can be tons of fun. But you can go other ways. For example, in my playgroup, I have a friend who likes to play strong combo decks. He's just a combo player. He's got a decent amount of fast mana and tutors, not all the fast mana and not all the tutors, but most of them, and some free counter magic. His decks are not quite CDH, as they're missing some key pieces. They have a lot of power and would be too strong for many casual tables. And for me, most of my casual decks have less fast mana, less tutors, and little to no combos at all. Yet I win against him plenty of times. So how do I do it without going through the obstacle? Let's talk about going over the wall. Being a faster deck does not mean your deck is better. It's not the only way to beat a combo deck. I mean, look at other formats. In the modern metagame, although Amulet Titan is the fastest tiered combo deck, Rakdos Midrange is at the top of the metagame page because it packs a lot of removal and disruption that can slow down combo decks so they're not able to win easily. Even in Commander, an all-in combo deck like Old Stick Fingers or Godo Helm are not the top of the metagame. They are powerful and viable decks, but they're not nearly as strong as the 4 or 5 color value-oriented builds. And value is the name of the game here. Combo decks may seem powerful because they execute their combo and just win on the spot. But look at a lot of these cards. Vampiric Tutor and Mystical Tutor, although powerful to help you find that missing piece, are card disadvantage. You go -1 card and don't draw any, meaning one less card they have in hand for backup counter spells or protection spells. And many combo pieces provide no board presence by themselves. A Phyrexian Altar or an Isochron Scepter or many other halves of a combo just don't do anything by themselves. Whereas if you play some value creature, it usually does something like ramp or card draw, or even just power on the board that you can attack with. Many combo decks just falter if you remove one piece. If they cast an altar and a Nim Deathmantle, if you destroy the altar before they find their third combo piece, now they just have a mid to bad tier equipment that doesn't do much, and then some other random creature. So a mid-range or control-oriented deck with value commanders that provide card advantage and pack plenty of removal can really shut down combo decks. You just need to be cautious about when you tap out for your big card draw spell, and be certain that they won't win the game when your shields are down. Loading up on big value pieces and removal is a great way to go over the top of fast combo decks. Then there's going under the obstacle, which is unconventional, but doable. The answer here is stacks. Now when I say stacks, I don't mean you need to be playing Yackle Hops or Cataclysm to stop a combo deck. Although that would probably work, let's say you don't want to play full stacks, but you want your non-blue decks to be able to stop combos. Without counterspells, you're gonna need rule setting cards, like Rule of Law and Collector Oof. These can force combo decks to stop dead in its tracks. Now their combo is one piece greater. They need all their combo cards and also a removal piece for your stacks. And then maybe you cast another stacks piece, and then they need their combo and 2 removal spells. And you don't need to shift your whole deck strategy to make these stacks cards work. Many of them can benefit or work with other casual themes. Many big stompy creature decks are not affected by Deafening Silence or Rule of Law, and those are great if you just want to play one big creature a turn. If you're an enchantment deck, then these enchantments and other ones like Root Maze can synergize well with your deck and trigger all your enchantresses. Hate Bears will trigger all your Beast Whisperer effects, and artifacts like Cursed Totem or Dampening Sphere can trigger any artifact synergy you might have. And another benefit is a lot of these cards are pretty budget friendly as well. Many of them are less than $1, since they really just don't see as much play as they should. I think they're pretty underrated in Commander. And one stacks piece that sits out on the board is worth like 3 removal spells. Because as long as it chills there, the combo deck has to deal with it before they can do whatever they want to do. Alright, one final way to get around the arch enemy obstacle, and that's going around, but a different way. Talking during the game. Going back to the example with my friend who has powerful decks, when we're in game and he plays something I know is a combo piece, I make sure the whole table knows. If I don't have removal, I might say, hey, I don't have removal, I can't remove that. But if he untaps with it, he's probably going to win. And that usually lets people know this situation, since many people might not realize some of these obscure cards are actually combo pieces. This is probably the easiest solution to the Commander arms race. If one player seems to have a stronger deck than everyone else, at the very least for the early game, it should kind of be a 3v1 for a little bit. Work with the other players at the table. Communicate, say, hey, I don't have removal for this. Are you able to hold up a counterspell? This is partly why Commander is so balanced overall. The format has a way to regulate itself. When someone gets off to a fast start with Sol Ring, oftentimes people recognize that they're the threat and the table jumps on them. I'm just suggesting that you do that before the game starts. Tell people, hey, Spike is playing a fast combo deck, be wary. And if you're Spike in this situation, if you're unhappy being the archenemy, then maybe you need to change your deck. If my deck is the best of the table by a large margin, I'm not going to complain if I get ganged up on, because that's the only out my opponents have, and I'm never going to be mad if my opponents play to their out, especially if it's the only one. So those are my answers to the Commander arms race issue, and what you can do as an individual to help alleviate it. But now I'd love to hear from you. Have you seen the Commander arms race in your playgroup? And what did you do about it, if anything? And if you're struggling with an archenemy in your playgroups, maybe try one of these out. If you do, let me know how it goes. Thank you so very much for watching. Subscribe for more.